While this podcast isn't rated explicit, the content may not be suitable for younger listeners. Welcome to Sex for Saints, the Christian couple's guide to great sex. I am your host, certified sex and marriage coach, Amanda Lauder. This is episode 316, If You Love Me. Welcome to Sex for Saints, a podcast for Christian couples. My goal with this podcast is to help enlighten, educate, and inspire you to understand yourself, your spouse, and your sexuality better. I talk about sex in a way you probably haven't heard before. I'm bold, I'm direct, but I keep everything in line with my strong Christian values. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, my friends. How are you today? I'm so happy to be here with you. I did a story on my Instagram account this week asking people if they were interested in my Embrace You Elite Society membership or couples coaching or both. And a huge number of people said they were interested in couples coaching, and then also a huge number said both. And I think that's awesome because we really want to attack these challenges that we're having in our marriage and in our intimate relationship from all angles. And so if you have not joined me in coaching yet, you're missing out. You really are. The Embrace You Elite Society membership is just $49 a month. It's so inexpensive and it really is so robust. I've gotten so many people who have been signing up lately. You can get your first month off by using the code podcast at checkout. Half off, at checkout. And so they've been coming in, they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea how much you had to offer and how amazing this was going to be. I wish I had joined a long time ago. So if you haven't joined yet, now is the time while I'm running this half off your first month special. But couples coaching, I actually have some slots opening up. So if you've been considering it, I would highly recommend you sign up for a consultation with me so that we can discuss how couples coaching can be helpful to your relationship. I have absolutely loved coaching the couples that I have been working with. It is so fun to see the changes that are happening in their relationship. We go into marriage and relationships excited about the future and most often excited about the sexual relationship. And often we don't realize how difficult it can be to actually have the relationship that we want. And so a lot of things get in the way of that, and it changes the dynamic of the marriage and the relationship. And so I work with couples one-on-one. Sometimes we do individual sessions with either the wife or the husband. A lot of the sessions are together. We meet on Zoom. Sessions are between 60 and 90 minutes, depending on what you need. Usually it's about 16 weeks, 16 sessions, and that can take place over, the course of like 4 to 6 months usually. But it really is tailored to fit your needs. It's not a program. I don't have a program. It's really looking at what the individual couple needs. And I'm bringing in all of these tools that I have and what I have access to, given my life coaching certification and my certification in advanced relationship coaching. I'm also in a training to do relationship coaching through Terry Real, who wrote the book, Us, which is amazing. So I'm really using all the skills that I have gained over the last 6+ years of coaching to help these couples, and it's working. Things are changing in their relationships, and I really love working with them. So if you haven't had a chance yet, schedule a consultation with me. You can go to amandalauder.com/couples to learn all about it and schedule that consultation. All right, let's get into today's topic. If you love me. So I have been hearing this phrase being thrown around quite a bit lately. My clients are often telling me that their spouses said, if you love me, you'll have more sex with me. I recently saw in a Facebook group that someone said to their spouse, if you love me, you'll just stop watching porn. On a podcast I was listening to, I heard a therapist call this phrase, the if you love me, the divorce formula. Now, The phrase may seem harmless at first glance, but it can actually be really damaging when used in the context of marriage and intimacy. So let's talk about how this phrase can impact your relationship and what you can do about it. So let's start by clarifying that your ability or inability to do something your spouse asks for does not necessarily reflect how much you love them. Okay. So if your spouse is asking you for more sex and that's hard for you, that doesn't mean that you don't love them. So this goes for the spouse too. If you're asking for them to do this and they're not doing it, it does not mean that they don't love you. Okay. It's the inability to have spontaneous desire. It's the inability to have more sex at this point in the relationship. Maybe we need to do some coaching and figure out the dynamics, right? The inability to stop watching porn cold turkey. Relationships are so complex, and there can be many reasons for not fulfilling a request. Now, perhaps you have just a different perspective on the situation. You might be dealing with your own personal challenges, or you might have your own needs and boundaries that are impacted by the request. Okay, so I recently had someone say, like, I am not going to force myself to have sex with my spouse. And I totally agree with that. So when the spouse is saying, if you love me, you'll have more sex with me, and the other person's like, I refuse to cross that boundary of forcing myself to have sex with you when I'm not ready to do it, then that doesn't work, right? So a lack of compliance with a request does not automatically mean that you don't love your partner or that they don't love you. Love is not measured by how often you consistently say yes to every request made. Instead, it can be shown through mutual respect, trust, and open communication. So when a spouse takes a request as an indicator of love, it places unnecessary pressure on the recipient and can lead to resentment, honestly. Sometimes we're just simply not capable of doing what our spouse wants. Maybe it's a physical limitation, maybe it's emotional readiness, or maybe it's a moral disagreement. Now, this can create a power imbalance if the spouse who is requesting the action sees the other partner's limitations as a failure to love or support them. So it's important to communicate your limitations with your spouse in a kind and compassionate manner. Seek to understand each other's perspectives and work together to find a collaborative solution that respects both of you. Now, if you find that you can't meet your spouse's request for a valid reason, reassure them that your love remains steady despite your inability to comply, so that you can help maintain that trust and intimacy. So why is using the phrase, if you love me, unreasonable? Well, when someone uses the phrase, if you love me, as a means of persuasion, it can lead to unreasonable expectations. It places an undue burden on the recipient to prove their love through compliance. And this can lead to a very transactional view of love and affection in the relationship rather than a sense of genuine connection and partnership. Also, using the phrase, if you love me, is manipulative, which is never good in a relationship. So this tactic often forces them into a position where they feel like they must comply to prove their love or to avoid negative repercussions in the relationship. Now, the recipient may comply out of fear of losing the relationship or disappointing their partner, rather than genuinely wanting to fulfill the request. And this can lead to a cycle of compliance and resentment, damaging the foundation of the relationship over time. And again, over time, these unreasonable expectations can erode the very foundation of the relationship. So instead of fostering trust and intimacy, this thinking can lead to distrust and dissatisfaction. Relationships thrive when both partners feel their boundaries and their limits are respected. So using the phrase, if you love me, can also be rooted in entitlement. Entitlement is the belief that one deserves special treatment or privileges without regard for the thoughts or feelings of others. So in relationships, it can manifest as expecting your partner to meet all of your needs or desires without considering their needs and desires, their ability, and their readiness. Now, this mindset can be harmful because it disregards the partner's individuality and autonomy. So when one partner feels entitled to have all of their wishes fulfilled, it can diminish the other's sense of agency and lead to resentment or imbalance in the relationship. So mutual respect and understanding are key to a healthy and sustainable relationship. So what should you do if your partner doesn't like some of your behaviors? So if and when your spouse expresses dislike for certain behaviors, it's essential to listen, seek understanding. You want to understand their concerns, right? Have an open and honest conversation about why those behaviors bother them and explore any underlying issues together. Now, this isn't about automatically changing to please your spouse, but about finding a balance that respects both of your needs and boundaries. So work together to identify potential compromises or alternative solutions. And this approach allows both partners to feel heard and respected, fostering a stronger, healthier connection. So being willing to engage in these conversations can strengthen your relationship and really build that trust. For example, if you would like your spouse to work on their desire for sex in the relationship, instead of saying, "If you love me, you will have more sex with me," sitting down and expressing why it's important to you, and then be curious, open-hearted, and understanding about why it's hard for them. Let them know that you want to work towards finding ways to help them be successful if they want this for themselves. And if they don't want it, continue to show up how you want to in the relationship. Be a good partner despite their actions, because that is your best self and you can respect yourself even if you're struggling. If your spouse asks you to prove your love by doing something that makes you uncomfortable, it's crucial to address the situation openly. Let them know your concerns and why you're not comfortable with their request. Now, I don't think you should be comfortable all the time. I think, discomfort is the currency of growth. So it's important to get uncomfortable. So it's not just about comfortability, but sometimes they're asking you to do something that is really outside of your value system, and we're not going to even go there. That is not okay, right? But a healthy relationship is built on mutual respect and understanding, not manipulation or pressure or coercion, right? So it's important to establish and maintain boundaries in your relationship. Boundaries are essential for having a healthy relationship with anyone. And even if that means saying no to a request that feels uncomfortable or goes against your values. And this can be challenging, especially for you people pleasers out there, right? But it's necessary for preserving your own emotional and physical well-being. Honesty and transparency can help your partner understand your perspective and may lead to a stronger, more trusting relationship. So while we want to show our partner that we love them in the ways that they want, this isn't easy, right? God said, "If you love me, keep my commandments." And we know how hard that is, even though we truly do love God. So in a marriage and sexual relationship, it's important to give our spouse grace and compassion. I love to be generous in my thinking with people that they're always doing their best, even if their best isn't very good. There are always reasons why they're doing what they're doing, even though some are maladaptive. And this is why it's so crucial to always be working to improving ourselves, our ways of thinking, and our ways of being in the world. We can't control others, but we can work on being intentional about showing up as our best selves in the relationship, despite what is going on around us. And this is so much of what I teach and work with in couples coaching. So I recently had a couple that I was working with that they've been to several marriage therapists over the years. And they said that most of the time the marriage therapist was working on the marriage and helping them meet each other's needs and, showing bids for connection, that kind of stuff. But the way that I work with couples, it's really about helping each individual show up as their best self, which helps the marriage overall. That helps build the relationship with self, which helps build the relationship between the two of them, which builds into the sexual relationship. And they said this is the first time that we're actually seeing changes and it's working. So if you're interested in couples coaching, go to amandalauder.com/couples to learn more about it. And if you're interested in the Embrace You Elite Society membership, you can go to amandalauder.com and click on Embrace You up in the menu, or you can go to Get Help in Women and look at the membership and all that it entails. I would love to see you in either couples coaching or the Embrace You Elite Society membership. All right, my friends, that's all I have for you today. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Remember, love is a journey, not a destination. Stay committed, stay passionate, and stay connected. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. If you want to learn how to apply what I teach you on this podcast, I want to invite you to work with me in my Embrace You coaching programs. In my coaching programs, I teach you all of the skills and tools you need to have a better relationship with yourself, your spouse, and your sexuality. You also get weekly coaching to help you apply what you are learning in your own relationship. For more information, go to amandalauder.com and click Get Help in the menu to see my programs for both men and women. Like what you're hearing on this podcast? Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Don't forget to leave me a review and share it with your friends.